Hello, hello! Let's talk about a new solar raid. This time we'll talk about Material Age. Honestly, it feels like this is the third solar raid for it, but it's only the second. Boy, am I not a fan of this fight. This is an RNG-riddled clusterfuck of a fight. But let's get through it. Let's talk about it. So, as far as this is concerned, as you can see, I've done 10 bill. This is going to be using my mains clears. My alt did 9.1 or 9 bill, around that much. My main did 10 bill. There's not a big difference, but there is a big difference in the units available. And because of that, I decided to go with my main because my alt is strapped. But I'm still going to talk about a team that I've done on my alt that if you have the treasure for Helm, might be better than one of the teams on here. Probably Shotgun for people who actually don't have the investment in them. Especially if you don't have Drake's treasure, because I do have it right now. Helm is only at SR10, so I was not able to test her with the treasure, but I was able to do like 1 bill with the team on the alt without the treasure. Which means if I had the treasure, you can bet your ass that would be more like 1.5 bill. Maybe more. So, I'll talk about that team as Team 6. It's not going to follow the normal order. Like, it's not the easiest one of the 6. But there's a big difference between Treasure Helm and not Treasure Helm. The big difference is that Helm actually heals you constantly if you have the treasure for her. If you don't, it doesn't. And also, Helm's damage is garbage if you don't have the treasure, especially at rank 3. But yeah. So, I'm gonna talk on them in order of most difficult to least difficult. It's going to be really weird to go about this. Just because, in general, you know, you're going to see some weird teams. Water Weak is awful, and this boss is especially awful. Distributed damage is one of your best options to deal with stuff, and thankfully Phantom and Quincy actually do it. As well as SBS. So, like, those 3 teams, for the most part, are a lot easier to work with, but they also still have cakes. So, let's talk about it. First off, we're going to talk about the Cinderella Phantom team. Which, by the way, on my alt, because I don't have Quincy Escape Queen, this team is so much worse to play with. Like, let me just show you. It's... Oh, actually, this is my alt. So, I'm using Rem by herself, basically, to deal with everything. It's awful. It's actually awful. And for those who wonder, is Red Hood better than Ein in that spot? It's not, and it's fucking... It's a nightmare to go around. Because you have to put her here to get Rouge's buff. What ends up happening is that you can't go like AAA for Cinderella. Because what ends up happening is you go Rouge, Red Hood, Cinderella, and if you put it on the right side, then it's the problem that you're going to be bursting with the burst 3 that's extra, so... Hooray! I love position lock stuff, it's not ass at all. But regardless, it's fine. I still use Rem on my main, but yeah, either way, let's talk about it. So this boss is a bit of a bitch to deal with, just in general. Surprise, surprise. You either want a machine gun or distributed damage, or both, to deal with these assholes. Now, if you're using distributed damage, a lot of the things that will happen, here, to be fair, right, you see me burst really fast, thanks to Red Hood's stupid burst gen. I go with Cinderella. This is the only team that really goes balls to the wall like that, but it's the only way for this team to do good damage. So it's kind of needed. So here, the order of priority is to deal with the ones with a little tail. because those throw stun grenades. So those will stun your unit for a short period of time, but it's a loss of DPS. You really don't want that. Rem is able to keep your team alive by herself, by the way, so, you know, that she deals with machine gun to deal with enemies after buffs. She deals with healing, and she does okay damage because she's bursting. So, it's not horrible. By the way, my Rem was reset in the last anniversary, so she is 444 right now. It still works. You don't need insane investment for her to function. I just have a fuck ton of ammo, but I think on my ult I don't have that much ammo and I still make it work, okay? So as you can see, I'm focusing on the tail ones, and after that I'm good. Whenever you see an enemy shooting, if you can go to kill it, not an enemy, the turrets that spawn throughout the fight, if you can kill it, do it. It's 10 bonus. It's basically a bonus 10 mil damage. The only team that can ignore them, if you're feeling ballsy, is the SBS team. Because if you're bursting with Alice at the time, you lose damage because Alice literally... The boss is weird. So the core is not always exposed, but the way the core is, it's like an extra layer in front of the boss. So if you have Pierce, you can hit the core and the main body. The core does appear if there is a... what's the word? A turret around. For no reason, by the way. This shit is just ass. This is just a problem material H has had since day fucking one. I don't understand why it does that. At first you'd think, oh, the core is moving to the turret. No, it doesn't. It just disappears. It just blinks out of existence. It makes no sense. And this makes it really annoying for another team. But yeah. We'll talk about that on Team 3. So, yeah. Here you want to burst. And then Phantom is able to kill. As long as the buff is already active, Phantom should be able to kill even with level 4 as her burst, which, by the way, you really don't care about her burst. You're usually not bursting with it. This is like one of the rare instances where you do want to burst with it, because distributed damage deal with the most annoying, like, aspect of this fight. So, yeah. You don't really need to go higher than 4. Like, my Phantom here is 774. Completely fine. For Water Weak raid, she is pretty decent to have. I don't know how, like, I don't think anyone that's, like, really tough damage is going to be using Phantom. But, 1, I like her, and 2, I don't have Mast or Anchor, so I am strapped for Water Unit anyway. So, you know, I might reset her, but for now, it's decent. We have the off anniversary coming anyway, so we're gonna get more resets. It's no big deal. As you can see, I try to prioritize turret as they appear as much as I can. And swapping to Red Hood to generate burst is always nice. The reason why I stay on Phantom as much as I can is when it does spawn enemies, and also so I have a better view of where the turrets are going. If the turrets are getting too bad for one of your characters, you have to constantly monitor the HP, by the way, fun fact. If the HP gets a little too low, you can just focus on killing them. They come in a line, so you can just, like, swipe through them pretty fast. And you'll deal with, like, 80% of them, even if you go fast. And then it's completely fine to survive. There is no attack check for this fight, by the way. Here, because I already went Cinderella, I went Phantom, Cinderella again, I decided to hold my burst. This is something you're going to be doing a lot, by the way, with some of the teams. I'm holding my burst, I'm waiting for the def up to be active, and then I just kill. It's better to hold your burst and kill all of them in one go than having to deal with all of them after, because if I'm bursting early with this team, I just die. Well, I guess technically Ram could clear them, but it's such a loss of DPS, it's just not worth it. It's just a retry at that point, right? So, yeah. Yeah, here I'm destroying them because Rouge is getting battered. So the boss is extremely RNG. It picks at random who the fuck it hits. If it just really hates Rouge, it's going to throw 10 fucking missiles at her, a turret, and laser her. And there's just about nothing you can do about it but die. It sucks. It's that way for any character, by the way. It's that way for any team, by the way. Except maybe SBS, because, well, no, SBS can still get fucked because you don't have any heal in that team. It's just ass in general, is what I'm trying to say. It's funny to me that they said that they were going to stay away from RNG, held that for like 12 months, had nothing but great bosses, and in the last two they just dropped the ball entirely on that point. I don't understand what's going on. They just kind of gave up on what they were saying. It's a shame, because Solo Raid used to be the highlight for me of Nikke. It's where I used to have the most fun, but this is not fun. This is not enjoyable to fight. So, these circles can be used to just delay your burst. You're going to see me do that a lot with different teams, not this one. This one can just go balls deep. It's completely fine. But if you see you're in like a weird position for bursting, you can just generate burst on this. If you see you're in a bad burst, like a bad burst rotation for phase 2, I guess I'll call it that, it's also a good time to burst through it and then let the circle almost run out and then break them. Again, you're going to see me do that later. It's gonna make more sense, but yeah. Here I just waited. I wanted to get Cinderella. Again, kill the ones with the tails first. Especially because you have distributed damage, you really don't care about the other ones. They do almost no damage. So you can just focus on doing damage. So here is a bit of a weird spot for me. Because I have to burst with this and I lose like most of the damage as a result. And as you can see, I'm kind of in a weird position. You can cover this. If you cover it at the right time, you might just get your cover blown out. But you'll be fine, right? You'll be fine. Here, what I should have done is actually delay a bit. So I could have bursted with Phantom early, and then do the circle a little later, and just be able to like proc this before the enemy spawn potentially. I don't think I would have been able to pull it off, but you know, it's just worth mentioning. Again, you can just cover that. As stupid as it sounds. And yeah, there's that. Yeah, covering the bombs, which is semi-RNG, is kind of the best way to go about it. I could definitely do better than this, by the way. As I said, I did fuck up a few times toward the end. But I'm gonna be real with you. I started my first run at 11:30 p.m. I finished at like 12:30. Problem. Apparently I was in muck. I didn't even realize. Wasted an hour of my life, and then I had to do this again. I had a few fucking time wasters, so I ended up finishing this at like... Well, I ended up really starting at 1 a.m., so I was like, I can't be bothered. I'm just going to save this in. it is what it is. I kind of want the video to be out to help people in time before I go to stream, because if I do that, everyone's losing a day before the guide is up. So it is what it is. It sucks. It really sucks, but oh well. It's fine. If I really feel like doing this RNG hell of a boss, I'm going to just do it again. I've done that for the last one, and the one before. I don't know if I will do it for this one, because it's a clusterfuck, though. Now, we'll talk about shotguns. So, shotguns is, funny enough, not that bad. Like, the difficulty from team to team is not a... It doesn't really increase that much in between each. Honestly, the order in which I put it, I ended up putting them, I ended up revising it like 3 times. It's so hard for me to gauge, but Team 5 is very much the one I think of. Team 4 I think is pretty well set, but Team 1, 2, 3 can be like in any places you want. So shotgun. So, welcome to AoEs that are not distributed damage. Once you see the creature, the first mob around this space, everything has spawned. So you can just go A. It's completely fine. Just kill it. Turrets need to be killed as much as possible. There's 2 reasons for that. You do just good damage in general. To them, because they are a big surface of damage, so your shotguns don't really miss any pellets. Also, before I talk more about the fight itself, Drake is treasured, and she has rank 2 on her treasure out of 3. Now, if you don't have Treasure Drake, you can just replace her with Maid Privity. Maid Privity swapping place with Noir, because you're going to be bursting with her instead of Noir. That's really all there is to it. I don't think this team is going to do too well if that's the case, and if you have Helm's Treasure, because by that point you either have Drake's Treasure or Helm's Treasure, right? If you have Helm's Treasure, there is a team to swap this to instead, okay? So don't feel like this is a needed team to be able to do well. For this specific one, shotguns is not insane or bad, just because Helm exists. Helm is able to basically allow a different team to function to replace this one. It's going to be the 6th team I showcase. So the turret spawns kind of like at the same pace as you're bursting at the start, so that helps a fair bit. Here for the second burst, if you have Drake module 3, it's a good idea to burst with Drake instead of Noir, because you don't really get anything otherwise. You'll see me swap to the shotgun that's being targeted by missiles a lot. It's not needed. I just feel like it helps a bit, but I might just be wrong. I tried to swap to Noir to give Soda time to reload her entire magazine if we're not in burst. If we're in burst, I still do it sometimes, but like when I'm bursting with Soda, it's probably better not to, because you have pretty good buffs on her because of her burst. Here I am holding my burst because there is literally no point in using it right now. You do no damage with all of your DPS while the shield is up. Oh, another thing. So if you have Viper, I'm sure there's people out there that probably have Viper's Treasure. If you have Viper's Treasure, you can also replace Drake like that. You can go Tove, Viper, Blanc, Soda, Noir. That's also fine. because Viper actually has, is also water. You can do pretty good damage with her. Water Treasure in itself is kind of garbage. At the end of the day, it is a water unit in a world where water units don't really exist too well. So, with that in mind, it is not a bad idea to work with that. Okay? So yeah. I don't have Viper's Treasure, and that's why I'm not using her here. I really only got Laplace. That was a mistake. She's garbage. And God, what's her face? Exia, who has over and over shown me that she's really good. So I'm not going to like pause to constantly explain soda bursting and the timing for it. I've already explained it once. I expect you guys to be able to add 1+1. So here is a little weird, right? We're finally in phase, like in the rapid phase. So you might be like, oh, soda might fuck you over. You won't be able to burst in time. That is incorrect. You can actually burst in time, but it is very tight. So, you really want, when you see the creature here, you want to start bursting as fast as you can. This will kill the wave, and it will time you down pretty well with this. Like here, you need to go fast, and poof, I fucked up there. But we're on the last 15 seconds. But the last time this happened, here, right? So, here's a pro tip that I kind of just realized. What you can do is just preemptively burst with Tove and Blanc, so that their cooldown are starting to tick down early. And then burst with soda when when the creature appears where I told you it has to be to basically kill the entire bunch. If you do that, it basically lines you up a lot better. You have a way less tight time at it because as you saw, I got screwed over by the cooldown. So if you do that, that completely solves the problem. Man, it was 1 in the morning. I just did not have any rest. I didn't realize that sooner. But yeah, so that kind of just allows you to deal with it fine. If you fuck up at the end, it's completely fine, really. You can just focus on hitting the core. Because at the end of the day, you know, there's like 1 second left before they shoot at you. For reference, my soda is 4-10-10 or 7-10-10. So, strongly recommend actually investing in soda. She is a very deceptively good unit. Not even just in solo raid. I ended up being very stuck in Tetra Tower, and she actually saved my ass multiple times in there as well. She's just a good unit all around, which is weird to say about a shotgun, but yes, she's very good. Especially in Tower for Tetra, in case you have not realized, you have every element under the sun except Iron on Lockdown, and to some extent Wind, because it's only Blanc and Noir, who are not exactly DPSs, but for Electric you have Summer for Water you have Ludmilla, for Fire you have Alice. So you're like usually fine. If you are dealing with like Suicider Bombers that have shield, Soda does great. She just kills them. There's no problem with them anymore. But yeah, just thought I'd point that out for the few that actually care. So that's the shotgun team. Now let's talk about the Rappy team. Now I'm sure people are really confused why this is in 3rd place. It's really just because of a stupid quirk the fight has. So, I've already explained it before, so for the quick ones in the class, they can probably understand the problem here. So, The core is not always active. If a turret is spawned, the core disappears. The core is in front of the boss, and because it is in front of the boss, when you explode the core, it can just break everything around it. If you're unlucky and the charge misses the head because the head slightly moves to the left or the right, that can happen, by the way, it's fucking cool. It will not kill everything, and also, you have a little window where it spawns turrets, especially later on in the fight, where it just loses the core, and because of that, you can just kill everything. Because the core is ahead, so when you explode it, it can hit everything. But if the core is no longer there, the thing you're basically shooting at is a little too far from the raptures that are spawned, so you just miss them, and then they get the death increase, and then it becomes like a massive DPS loss. This is the worst part about the fight. This was a perfect run, and I just want you to understand how much of a difference it makes. I went from 2.35 bill to 3 bill in this team. Or I think around 3 bill. Or was it 2.7? I'm not even sure anymore. Point is, yeah, I think it was 2.7. Point is, there's a big difference if you can actually get this going, and it will cost you a fuck ton of retries, but it is worth it. It is just frustrating that it is for stuff that is outside of your control, though. But yeah. As you can see, I just killed all of them without, like, focusing on them whatsoever, because the core was active the whole time. If you keep shooting at it without killing the turret, you are not hitting the core, so you lose quite a bit of damage as well. By the way, I am being ballsy as hell. Understand, I am not killing the missiles at all. Like, this is just Tia killing them herself, for the most part. If you're having trouble, two things. Damage reduction cube on Tia, very good. It genuinely makes a difference, especially in this fight where she takes heavy abuse. Or, the second thing you can do is actually breaking the projectiles. On my ult, I had to do that because my Tia is not core 7. So obviously I have less defense. Defense doesn't make a big difference, but when you constantly get hit, it does end up adding up, okay? So if you're genuinely in any threatening situation, either use Rappy or use Ludmilla. Another thing, here you see me do something really weird. Oh, actually, no, you don't. But usually, once I get to around this section... actually, no, it's not. Yeah, no, it's not here. It's a little later. You're going to see me reload at a weird time. Like, I still have ammo in the tank. This is because I don't have a whole lot of ammo. So here I reload. This is because I don't have a whole lot of ammo. Please understand, if your Rappy mid-burst runs out of ammo, and there's still, like, enemies on the verge of spawning, your run is kind of dead? I mean, technically, you can get out of this. You have 2 machine guns, right? The problem is that you do so much damage, it's kind of not great. Like, if you're optimizing for damage, of course. I'm not saying, like, for people who just want to get through this, yeah. For people who actually want to, like, do really well, yeah, you will have to restart. So this is why I'm reloading here. My ammo count is just low, right? My ult has 950 ammo on the Rappy. Actually, no, 986, I think, if memory serves. So they don't have that problem, ever. I just don't reload at bad spots. But here, I just reload as the enemy spawn. So I kind of have to do it like that. And it's the best time because I'm not mid-burst anyway, so... yeah. So here you have a small window to hit the core to break everything. And as you can see here... right? You see the aim assist bugging out and giving up. And there's no more core. It lasts for only a second, but like it genuinely sacrifices a lot of damage. Like the last few hits, I ended up hitting core, but like that little split amount of time is just enough for the Raptures to get the death buff, and that shit is ass. That shit is pure ass. Believe it or not, I think this is the team I spend the most time with. There's no reason for it to be the case, but it is. Yeah, here, as you can see, my Tia is taking heavy abuse because she's taunting everything. I just don't care. I'm just here to do damage, man. Yep. So here, what ended up happening is just unlucky. The core despawned, and there was nothing I could do about that because this is the part where the fight is really ass. If you're lucky, you're going to throw a charge at one of the mobs at the right time, right? But as you can see, I'm already not hitting the core. You lose access to the core in this section early for some reason. Yeah, see? The core breaks for no reason. There's no reason for it to break. So, because of that, you have to, like, target the Rapture yourself, because otherwise they just get the death up anyway, so... Yeah, you lose lots of damage. So, ideally what you do is you focus on the tails. Again, this was late at night. I could have done better. You focus on the ones with the tails because they stun your units. Once again. Then, when you run out of burst, if you have aim assist on, you can make so that your machine gun latches onto an enemy until they kill it. So you basically target one, swap to Ludmilla, target another, swap to Rappy, target another, because the first one is probably dead by that point. And then do the same thing with Ludmilla with another until there's nothing left, right? That's the main thing I can really suggest for you, to like control everything and get rid of it fast. Again, I could have done so much better, but it is what it is. Here, I just covered it. Yeah, here, one of them just did not want to connect for some reason. Here, I just give up on hitting it until this happens, then I kill it, because I'm reloading anyway. Just so I can do better damage. There seems to be a weird wall in front of it because of the circles, by the way, which is why Tia can hit the main body to actually generate more burst. There we go. And yep, there we go. And then you can just do damage. As you can see, I'm already doing better than my PB before. So, yeah, 22 seconds left. It's really dumb. And here I just focus on doing damage. It doesn't matter. If I swapped the Tia fast enough and I had a full charge ready, I could probably have done 2.8, 2.9. But yeah, that's about it. This team is just really good if the boss doesn't fuck you over, and it will fuck you over again in this section here. Because the core just dies early. You can't do anything for it, you just have to, like, just deal with it, basically. It sucks, but it is very doable. Now let's talk about a weird, old unit that's actually pretty decent here. So, Summer Mary is actually pretty good here, and for those who don't have Summer Mary, there's an alternative. There is an alternative. It is worse, but there is an alternative. Replace Summer Mary with Volume, and then Dola with Rapunzel. Base Rapunzel. Because base Rapunzel will serve as the healer spot, Volume as the CDR. The reason why Summer Mary is just better, however, is because you have 2 water DPS that are bursting. Summer Mary, the reason why she was bad on release is that she was literally meant as a water DPS support. In a game where the best water DPS was something like Brid. Or I guess Dwarfy? Who is another burst one, by the way, so you could not burst together. It was ass. Like, the foresight on this unit was garbage. So it took a year and a half for us to actually have water DPS for her to buff. Now, it's not perfect. Summer Mary's buffs don't last long. But I'll take that over crit any day. Now, I'm sure there's people in the class that are going to be like, woo, volume should be better, right? Crit rate, it's decent, right? It's a 50% damage increase. So I'll explain how damage works, and you're going to realize how shit crit rate is. So, crit damage starts at 50%, but it is, when you're calculating damage, it is stacked on full burst and core damage. Why does that matter? Well, you're constantly hitting a core right now, so you're doing 100% more damage. 150% in the case of certain units. But I'm pretty sure everyone in this team is doing 200% damage to core. Full burst increases your damage by 50%. Yeah, fun fact. You get a 50% damage boost from full burst. Baseline. So, you're already at 250% damage. And then if you crit, that 250% damage becomes 300% damage if you don't have any crit damage. So it's not a 50% damage increase, it's a 20% damage increase during full burst, and a 25% damage increase when you're not in full burst, which I have Grave on this team. Of course I'm going to be in full burst 99% of the time, right? So, you know, it's not that great, and the problem is that you have like 15% crit rate. Yeah, volume boosts that up to like 37 at rank 4, but it's not really anything worth mentioning. Because overall, it makes your crit rate, 37% chance, so let's say 1 in 3 to make the calculation easier. Your 20% damage increase is more like 7-8% damage increase because of the crit. So it's not that great. Mary just gives straight up attack and actually elemental damage. So if your water units lack elemental damage, which they probably do because who the fuck invests in these like really heavy? Not a bad choice to have. And Mary actually is a better healer than Rapunzel. It's not even close. You're going to see just how stupid her heal gets. It takes 3 bursts, but after 3 bursts, every time you're bursting, you're basically healing for 70% HP on everyone. It's really dumb. Also, Summer Mary only needs 444. I don't have overloads on her. It's just 444 skills, nothing else. So yeah. Another thing is that Volume Rapunzel, there's one problem. One problem with that. Volume doesn't generate burst. And Rapunzel can generate burst, but you're sacrificing healing if you do. Summer Mary and Dola do not give a fuck. They will just generate burst. So there's that as well. So you probably will end up with like 1 or 2 more bursts with this team. With that said, let's talk about it. This is very similar to the Phantom team. It's just that this time you're focusing on Quincy and you're actually going to delay the first burst as a result. It is what it is. Again, you want to prioritize these as much as you can, especially in the start, because in the start, Summer Mary's healing is not fully stacked. So you're in a bit of a dangerous spot. Like here, for example, like Grave is just getting targeted to hell and back. So you see, like, right now, Grave is not healing too fast. And here I am delaying this one. So, similar to the shotguns, but this time there's an actual bigger delay. And there they go. So, again, the idea is just you want to kill them as fast as you can. Now here is basically full steam ahead. I just no longer care. And as you can see, the burst goes in fast. Thanks to Grave. And yeah, look at Quincy's heal. Like, look at how fast that heal is. It is really silly just how much you heal. And here, you can actually delay a bit, have Guillotine burst, and then you're going to have Quincy's burst more or less ready for this section. And also break the part as a result. So yeah, this is... You can genuinely just see... see the phase where you have to deal with the circle as a time to actually just reset everything. Like, reset your cooldowns. And here you can just kill them again. And then you just do more damage. It's very straightforward. But yeah, here as you can see, I'm kind of in a weird position, right? So I'm bursting with Guillotine. I'm using as much time for it. Keep in mind that for this team, doing this, you don't really lose that much damage, right? Grave does damage, but the vast majority of your damage is going to be Guillotine, Quincy. So if you do this, you basically just set yourself up a bit. And again, killing the ones that stun is kind of important. The same logic as always. Here, if I swapped really fast to Guillotine and then Quincy, I would have probably been able to break it. Again, Dola was at like 20% HP, and yeah, she's almost at full now. And here you're on the last 10 seconds, so you can just focus on doing damage. Fortunately, there was a piece of shit in front of it, but, you know, it is what it is. My Quincy is, I believe, 4-10-7. And yeah. As for Guillotine, she is, I think, 5-5-5. Like, this is a very low investment team. I did overload both, but, like, as you can see, 75k power on Mary. If I had overload, I would have healed even more. You just don't need it. This is just like, if you have the units, genuinely, like, it's really not that bad to invest in it. Quincy is the best water DPS around right now, so she is an investment you should be making in general for any water weak raid, or Union raid in general. I did get use out of her during the last Union raid, but I ended up also attacking 6 times during the hard mode Union raid because I killed 3 bosses. But, you know, for Nihilister, I was doing, I think, 2.3 bill? With, like, Quincy, Guillotine. I think Quincy, Guillotine, and I don't think I was using Phantom. It's been a while. I don't remember the exact team. But just know that if you need a water DPS for Union Raid, you'll want her anyway. And because Union Raid is now like one of each element, it's good to just have options. Team 5 is the easiest team of them all. We've already spoken on how good distributed damage is on this fight. What about a unit that just yeet that shit every 3 times that they attack? Oh, and also Dorothy's here. So Dorothy cannot deal with the mobs whatsoever. Fun fact. Yay, Dorothy's still useless. Her skill 2 might as well not exist. It does nothing. I swear. I just don't understand the point of a skill that does nothing. And apparently it's meant to work like this? Like, apparently it's just because our attack is too low to compare to the defense of the target. Even though distributed damage should just do a flat amount of damage based on what the damage you're doing is, they don't care. So, I don't know. Dorothy is the only unit with distributed damage that cannot actually deal with the enemy. So, at least she doesn't for me, but I don't have like a fuck ton of attack on her or elemental damage to make that skill do anything. It's just annoying because like Phantom with 4 fucking meth is able to do better than she does at dealing with mobs, so it's nonsensical. So you're going to see me burst more with Alice as much as I can. Despite what the order leads you to believe, because I'm stupid and I forgot to actually swap Alice and SBS around. Alice does more damage than SBS in this fight. As I explained, the core is in front of the boss's face, basically, at all time. And then there's the boss's body. So Piers do double damage, or I guess in this case triple damage, because core hit does double. So yeah. You really just ignore everything, unless you're in SBS Burst, in which case it is a good idea to, if you're in SBS Burst, it's a good idea to break the turrets that spawn, because of course it allows you to deal with them. It allows you to deal with less damage, less incoming damage, because you have no heal in this team. And also because it makes the core reappear a little faster, I believe. Or rather, it's in a window where the core isn't there anyway, so you lose like 2/3 of your damage. But yeah, this is like the most straightforward team. You just want to break missiles when available. I'm being a fair bit ballsy here because Dorothy is already all dead. And boy, do they love to target her, goddamn. When you're generating bursts, it is a good idea to try to break missiles as you do it. If you're using if you're bursting with SBS, it's also not a bad time to do it. Here, I really should be using Dorothy because my Dorothy just does more damage. But, oh well, it is what it is. Once again, the mobs are just completely ignored. There's no point in doing anything for them. SBS just kills them for free, so... Because you have Assault Rifle, you can really go fast breaking the missiles without, like, paying attention to them. They will just break. They don't have a whole lot of HP, thank God for that, so it's usually just fine. Yeah, as you can see, I deal with them way faster with her. I delayed that a little because my main DPS aren't water, so obviously it's better to actually just, you know. Again, this is the most straightforward team. There's like nothing to really do special. You just do damage. Now, if my SBS could actually get elemental damage in the next 100 meth, that'd be nice. I am 201 meth into her at this point, and I still don't have it. I'm still at 3 elemental damage. Fucking yay. Now, for Team 6, now, I don't think this team is worth it if you don't have Helm's Treasure. But as I said, at this point, if you care about your units a fair bit, you should have either Drake's Treasure or Helm's Treasure, right? If you have Helm's Treasure, this one is probably for you. So, this is probably going to replace the Electric team for you, or the Shotgun team. If you're going to keep the Electric team, because you can just use Phantom and co, you'll need a different sniper rifle to generate burst in the Cinderella team. Keep in mind, I was also using RH to burst with Cinderella, so you're probably going to do a bit less damage. But here you're now able to use Mary, you're now able to, because you have Helm as a source of healing. This fight is possible, apparently, to do without heals, but holy hell, that sounds like an absolute nightmare, and I don't feel like finding out how. Because it just doesn't feel fun. This fight is not fun in general, to be fair, so yeah. So, at the start, you really do want to use RH, Mary RH, because that's the best time you have to do damage. I don't know if I even use mod. Actually. Yep, no, didn't use her at all. What a unit. So, yeah, the only unit here that's using a different team is actually Red Hood. I didn't even use D. Because there was no team to really use her, because RH is not exactly used as E Burst 3, because, funny enough, you don't really have space for her. Like, genuinely. Where would I fit her in any of these teams? Over Rappy? Fuck that. Over SBS? Fuck that. Over, like, Guillotine, who actually boosts Quincy, so they, like, double dip in damage? Fuck that. Over a Shotgun? Nah. Over Cinderella? Nah. Like, it's just, you know. But to be fair, over Cinderella, I can see it. I can see it. Like, if you use Phantom as your Soul Water DPS, and then have something to replace Rem as the source of healing, I can see it maybe working, but what would I do? Like, D, Mary. Yeah, probably D, Mary, RH, Phantom, and then Rapunzel. That's probably what I would do. But you need Summer Mary for that. Because you can't use Rapunzel on that team then. Depends on how your units are invested, to be fair, right? Also, this was before I realized that the fucking Tail Rapture had to be focused on, and also the Tail Raptures are fucking ass to see. It's so awful. So here I'm like dealing with all the mechanics as much as I can. I should have just focused on like hitting the boss. Oh well. As I said, Pierce is actually getting a pretty good time here. And again, reminder that Helm actually constantly heals you if you have the treasure. I don't have that, so if you see a lot of close call, that's probably why. If you have the treasure, it's a lot easier to deal with. But holy crap, it's so fucking scuffed otherwise. Oh my god, I barely missed that. I could have actually delayed that and just use Modernia to kill it. Another one that's like a close call. Again, if Helm was treasured, that would not be a problem. Like, unironically, that would just not be a problem. I would have broke both pretty easily. I just completely wasted that burst. This is a tough spot. I killed all of them in time, but I lose a lot of damage because of it. Technically, one thing you can do with Mary, and that's probably what the top players are doing, you can time Mary's burst in such a way where you use the burst right before the def up is applied. This is similar to Mother Whale. If you've seen my guides on Mother Whale before, if you have a delayed AoE, the damage is calculated before it happens. So if the HP were to drop to a certain amount because the def is increased to max, you still do the same damage. So if it calculated for like 3,000 damage and the enemy has 6,000 HP, but then the HP is lowered to 60 because he has max defense, you still do 3,000, so you just kill them. If you can, like, actually line this up perfectly, absolutely amazing. You actually deal with the wave completely. But that sounds like a nightmare, and I don't know the timing at all. So just understand, if you're trying to do that, that's going to be trial and error for a while. This was meant to be my Team 6 on the alt, by the way. Yeah, this is on the alt, not the main. So if you're like, oh man, oh brother, the timing is so bad. If you're like, oh, I'm sure I can't tank that. No, you can. You can. My alt can, so you should be able to. Another thing is, if your Mary is actually strong enough, I just saw that, you would just be able to kill them. Like, if you have a few attack roll on her, you might just straight up be able to murder them in one go. Here I lose Helm, but it was like 8 seconds left, so I just said fuck it. I did not end up saving the run, but this is an example of how you go about it. Again, it's not perfect. If you just so happen to have a Mary that's cracked in attack, this team also probably is fine even if you don't have the treasure, but, you know, that depends on stuff. That depends on how your account is set up. So yeah, this is this solo raid. Hopefully this is helpful to some people. Once again, this is my spreadsheet for, well, my spreadsheet. This is my clear damage. It is a little small, but I'm sure you can actually zoom in and see. And this is my alts, if you want to know. My alt does not have Quincy Escape Queen, so as a result, the teams are slightly different, especially with the Cinderella team. My team 5 is garbage. It is what it is. Again, hopefully this was helpful to some people. And with that, I'll see you all in the next one. Have a nice rest of the day, everyone.